Hi, it's Sylvester, and I wanted to show you how I cope with small things that feel like big things to me because I am mentally ill, and when things trigger me, my brain tends to blow these things out of proportion. Now, I'm not talking about big life stuff, I'm talking about trivialities, things that in the long run don't really matter but feel like they matter a lot because my brain convinces me that it's a bigger deal than it actually is. You see, I'm part of this support group, and it's a really great support group. I've learned a lot, and it's helped me a lot. I've been going for over a year at this point, and it's called Recovery International. I am part of Recovery Canada because I live in Canada. If you want to join this support group, I have a whole video explaining how it works and how you can join. I will put a link to that video in the description down below. I recommend you look into it because it's a great support group. And again, I've learned a lot about how to deal with trivial life events and how to cope with my mental illnesses. And even if you don't join the support group, I highly recommend this book called Better Mental Health for Everyone. It is really, really good. It has taught me a lot, and one thing that I really like about this book is that on page 84 to page 87, there's a list of tools, and these are just coping strategies that you can use to help you with all sorts of trivial life stuff, trivialities, and all sorts of mental health. Like it's they're coping strategies, and I find them to be very, very helpful. So I'm going to use these coping strategies to deal with something trivial that happened recently that I want to talk about. I'm making this video just because I want to kind of demonstrate how I go about dealing with small things in my life that really upset me or trigger me or work me up in some way. And so yeah, here's the event. What happened is, and this is something that happened at one of the support group meetings last week. I was at the support group, and somebody in the support group said something that bothered me, and so I'm kind of breaking the rules of the support group a little bit because we're not really supposed to, what happens in support group stays in support group kind of thing. But I'm not giving away anyone's like personal information. I'm not talking about anybody else's mental health. I'm not really I don't think I'm really doing anything bad by talking about this. But just so you know, in theory, things that happen in the support group, things that are said in the support group are supposed to stay in the support group. But like I said, somebody in the support group said something that kind of upset me and has been weighing on me ever since. And so I'm going to use the list of tools that I have at my disposal to try to talk myself through this thing that is bothering me and find some kind of resolution, I suppose. So basically what happened is that I was giving an example because at the support group we have an example period where people will talk about a trivial thing that happened in their life that upset them, and then people in the support group take turns uh, listing tools that the person either used or could have used to help with the situation. And so I gave an example, and my example was that I have this one friend who never texts me back in a timely manner, and sometimes he just doesn't text me back at all. And it just kind of bothers me because it makes me feel ignored and it makes me feel like I'm not important enough for him to even acknowledge, like sometimes the specific event was that I texted him just asking him how he was doing, and then a week later he still hadn't responded, and I was just kind of upset because I again felt ignored, and it didn't make me feel very good that he wasn't responding to me. So that was my example, and then everyone took turns listing tools that I could use to make myself feel better about this event or to cope with this event. And then it got to one girl, and she said something along the lines of like, I'm paraphrasing here, but she said something along the lines of like, maybe he didn't text back because he was scared that he might say something that would set you off, or she says something along those lines. And that's not really something you're supposed to do at the support group. You're not supposed to like give advice. You're not supposed to like talk about why the other person may have done what they did to upset you. You're supposed to just stick with the tools, and her saying that was not one of the coping strategies that we use in Recovery Canada. So, it was just, it upset me because it made me feel like this is how she sees me. She sees me as some emotionally unstable guy who will fly off the handle if somebody says the wrong thing. And it really pissed me off that she apparently thought of me that way, and it really upset me. It made me feel very small because I didn't think that was the energy that I put out, like I didn't think that was my vibe. The vibe that I gave off was, you know what I mean? And in a way, I feel like I'm proving her right by being so upset about what she said, because, she's like, well, he didn't know what to say because he was scared he'd say something that would set you off. And then here I am getting set off by something that she said, offhandedly, and I'm sure she didn't mean it as an insult. I'm sure she was, again, just trying to make me feel better about the situation, but it really felt personal, like it felt like she said it to upset me, like she was trying to tell me that I seemed like the kind of person who was emotionally unstable and that I would freak out at even a small comment. And so again, I'm kind of proving her right, because here I am getting pissed off and worked up over a small little comment that realistically shouldn't affect me, shouldn't affect my life. It was just a stupid thing that she said that she probably, didn't mean. And even if she did mean it, it doesn't matter. Like, why do I need her approval? Why do I need this random woman to think positive things about me? Why should it upset me if she thinks that I am emotionally unstable? Because the truth is that I am emotionally unstable, and I'm deeply, deeply insecure about that. I've been seeing my psychiatrist, and she says that I suffer with something called emotional dysregulation. She's unsure of whether or not I have bipolar, but she thinks that I might have bipolar. So, like, I do have trouble regulating my emotions. I am an emotionally unstable person. And so hearing this woman who doesn't really know me very well clock that and just, like, straight up, say that she didn't straight, but like to imply that she thought that I was emotionally unstable really hurt me, because again, I am emotionally unstable and I'm deeply insecure about that. And it's something that I'm working on, and something that my psychiatrist and I are working on, and we're trying to find the right medication to help with it and all of that, and the right therapy to help with it. And so it's just like, it made me very self-conscious, and it really pissed me off that this woman saw me that way. So that's the situation. That's how I felt. That's what's going on. And so I'm going to use my tool list here to try to cope with how I'm feeling and with how this woman's comment made me feel. First of all, calm begets calm, temper begets temper. Temper is our worst enemy, and humor is our best friend. So that's something, try to find the humor in this situation. I guess it's kind of funny. It's not really funny, though. It's kind of hard to find the humor in this situation. Like, it's not that serious of a situation. It is definitely a triviality. In the grand scheme of things, what she said doesn't matter at all. Doesn't affect my life, really. But I'm having a hard time finding a way to laugh about it. But temper does beget temper, and so I have to acknowledge that I am in temper, that I'm experiencing angry temper right now at this woman, and I need to remember to stay calm and not allow my temper to flourish, I suppose. Um, what else do we have here? Excuse, don't accuse others or yourself. I have to excuse her, forgive her, drop the judgment. I gotta not judge this woman for saying what she said because, judgment is the root of a lot of problems. And so rather than holding on to this grudge and just being mad at her, I have to remember to excuse, don't accuse, which is way easier said than done. But yeah, that's something that I need to do. What else? People do things that annoy us, not necessarily to annoy us. She probably wasn't trying to hurt my feelings. She probably didn't say this specifically to hurt me. She probably didn't realize that this was a hurtful thing to say. She probably didn't think that it would upset me as much as it is upsetting me. And but there's this line from a Taylor Swift song that you may have heard called "Who's Afraid of Little Old Me," where it's something like you say they didn't do it to hurt me, but what if they did? And like, maybe she didn't say this to hurt me. Maybe she wasn't intending to hurt me, but maybe she was. Maybe she was trying to hurt me by saying this. Maybe she, just for whatever reason, doesn't like me and was trying to hurt my feelings. Maybe this was a pointed thing to say, you know? And like, it probably has nothing to do with me. It has way more to do with her and the way she sees me than it has to do with me, because I've given her no reason to believe that I'm emotionally unstable, even though I do have emotional dysregulation. I've given her no reason to believe that. I've never acted in a way that would make her think that I was emotionally unstable. So for her to say that seemingly out of nowhere, to me, says that I probably remind her of somebody who is emotionally unstable. I probably remind her of her son or her husband or her brother, or like someone in her life who she has issues with. And my example was, I texted a friend and he didn't text me back. So maybe she felt guilty because she's done that to someone in her life. Somebody's texted her and she just doesn't text back. And so the reason she doesn't text back is because she's scared she might say something to upset the person. And so she's projecting her own situation onto me. Like, well, the reason I don't text back is because I'm scared this person is going to get upset with me. And so that's probably why the person's not texting you back. Like, she was projecting her own issues and insecurities onto me, probably. And so again, it probably has a lot less to do with me than it does with her. And so, there's that. That's not a coping tool. That's part of Recovery Canada. That's just something that I'm telling myself to make myself feel better about it. And because the reason it upsets me so much is because I am emotionally unstable, but I don't fly off the handle for no reason. And if I text my friend asking, "Hi, how are you?" What is he going to say that's going to set me off? What does she think that he was going to say that would upset me? If you text someone, "Hi, how are you?" you respond by saying, "Hi, I'm doing well, how are you?" Or "Hey, I'm not doing that great, how are you?" Or you know what I mean? No regular response would set me off. What exactly was she if he texted me back being you're a dick and I hate you, then yeah, that would upset me, and I would fly off the handles maybe. But again, I was just texting him to ask how he was doing, and so what would he have said that would have set me off? unless he purposefully said something to set me off, or he said something rude or mean, and then I would have every reason to be upset. You know what I mean? So it's like what? Like, does she think that I'm gonna just fly off the handles from somebody saying I'm doing well, how are you? Like, you know what I mean? And like, to go back to the idea that maybe she was projecting her own problems onto me, and there's somebody in her life who she doesn't text back. It's like, what are you? Why are you so scared to text that person back? What do you think is going to set them off? If you just like have a regular human conversation and just like talk about how you've been doing and ask them how they've been doing and just have a regular ass conversation, they have to be pretty emotionally dysregulated to get upset about that. You know what I mean? So why would this person be scared to text me back? What and if he did say something to upset me, he probably was saying it to upset me. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. I'm just working myself up more. This video is having the opposite effect of what it's supposed to have. Another tool that we have here is it takes two to fight. What is the saying? It takes two to fight, one to lay down the sword, and be group minded. So, like, I can't start a fight with this woman. I'm not going to escalate things. I'm not going to make the situation worse. I'm not going to get mad at her or fly off the handles at her. I'm not going to, like, things might be kind of weird between us now, though, because, like, I do feel this, like, resentment towards her because she said that. And so, like, I don't know. Like, what did I do to make her think that I was emotionally unstable? That's what hurts, is like, what did I do to make her say something like that? And like, maybe she didn't mean to hurt my feelings, but also maybe she did. But again, excuse, don't accuse. I have to excuse her and her behavior, and I have to drop the judgment and remember that there is, another tool that we have here is we interpret insecurely. We tend to interpret insecurely. So maybe I'm interpreting insecurely. Maybe she genuinely did not actually say this to upset me. Maybe I am just insecure and I'm interpreting it in a way that she didn't intend for me to interpret it. Maybe, again, it was just an offhand comment. She was just, spitballing. She didn't actually think that I was emotionally unstable. She just thought that maybe there's a possibility that the other person I was texting thought that I was emotionally unstable for whatever reason. Or maybe she was implying that the person I was texting had like social anxiety and he was just like scared that he might say something to upset me, even though that was an irrational fear, because again, like, what was he going to say to upset me? You know what I mean? So like, maybe I'm interpreting insecurely and she genuinely didn't mean to hurt my feelings. Comfort is a want, not a need. I definitely feel uncomfortable because of what she said to me. And I have to remember to bear the discomfort, and comfort will come. This feeling isn't going to last forever. Another tool is that nervous symptoms are distressing but not dangerous. So even though I'm distressed because of what she said, there's no danger here. There's no danger in this situation at all. This is a triviality. There's no right or wrong in the trivialities of daily life. Feelings are not facts. They can lie to us. So even though my feelings are hurt and I feel like I've been attacked, my feelings might be lying to me. And maybe, again, it's all just in my head and she didn't mean anything by it. Frustrations are tolerable, average, and not emergencies. This is definitely not an emergency situation. This is, again, a triviality. It's such a small thing, such a stupid thing for my brain to be getting all worked up over. After the initial startle, work yourself down. So instead, I'm kind of working myself up. And so I need to do the opposite and work myself down and remind myself that this is a triviality. This is very average. People say stuff like this all the time. People say backhanded things that hurt other people's feelings all the time. This is very, very average. It is absolutely not an emergency. I'm sorry, there's fireworks happening outside, so I'm sorry if you can hear that. Change your insecure thoughts to secure thoughts. Again, I'm responding to this situation very insecurely. My insecurities are getting the best of me, and so I have to replace those insecure thoughts with secure thoughts. And the secure thoughts are that what she thinks of me doesn't affect me. What she thinks of me can only hurt me if I allow it to hurt me. You know, maybe I'm interpreting insecurely and she doesn't actually think poorly of me. This was just like, you know, maybe she regrets saying it. Maybe she feels like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I don't know why I said that. You know, maybe for all I know, she's beating herself up over this and regretting saying it because, you know, it's not what she meant. So yeah, choose peace over power is another one. Be self-led, not symptom-led. Don't let the symptoms of anxiety that I'm feeling right now cause me to say or do anything that I regret. You know, I'm not going to like call her out for this. I'm not going to start a fight. I'm going to command my muscles. That's another thing that it says is command your muscles to do what the brain fears to do. So I'm going to control my muscles, control my speech muscles, and choose to not say anything to her about this and to not pick a fight with her about this. Be satisfied with small gains. The way I'm dealing with this is better than I would have dealt with this a few years ago. A few years ago, I would have been so pissed off at this woman. Sorry, my camera died. So we're switching to this camera. One of the tools is spot what is average, which again, I've done. I've acknowledged that this is a very average situation. Spot imagination on fire. My imagination is on fire, thinking about like, you know, what this person thinks of me and like convincing myself that she has this very negative opinion of me, which again, maybe she doesn't. Maybe that's all in my head. And even if it's not, even if she does have a negative opinion of me, that doesn't really affect my life. It doesn't really hurt me. It's distressing, but in no way dangerous, and it is not an emergency. Expectations can lead to disappointments. Self-appointed expectations can lead to self-induced frustrations. So I expected to have people respond more positively to my example. I expected people to not say something that would hurt me, and those expectations were not met. You know, obviously I was disappointed because I wasn't expecting for her to say something like that to me. Setbacks are unavoidable. Perfection is an illusion. Nobody's perfect. She's not perfect. I'm not perfect. When it comes to excuse, don't accuse. That also, you know, excuse yourself. So I got to excuse myself for being somebody who has emotional dysregulation and somebody who is emotionally unstable. And, you know, there's a lot of what we call fearful temper as well as angry temper. My angry temper is that I'm angry with her because she said this thing to upset me. But my fearful temper is that I'm upset with myself because her comment made me feel inadequate and upset with myself and made me feel insecure about my emotional dysregulation. She made me feel small. And so I have this like kind of self-anger, self-hatred going on because, you know, the only reason I'm responding so strongly to what she said is because I believe that she's right. You know, like if somebody insults you about something that you're not insecure about, then that's obviously going to hurt less than if somebody insults you about something that you're actually deeply insecure about and that you actually believe is true. So if she called me emotionally unstable and I knew that I wasn't, it would probably still upset me, but it wouldn't upset me anywhere near as much as it's upsetting me currently. The biggest reason why I'm upset is because I know she's right in calling me emotionally unstable, and I'm deeply, deeply insecure about being emotionally unstable. And so I have to excuse myself for my emotional instability and excuse myself for being the way that I am because I didn't choose it. And like I'm doing everything I can to make it better and to fix it, I suppose. Our supreme goal is our mental health. I have to remember my mental health is more important than her opinion of me. My mental health is more important than, it is, my mental health is my supreme goal. So if me thinking about what she said is causing me mental distress, then I have to simply stop thinking about it. I have to cast it out of my mind, stop, just overthinking it and letting it bother me, because that's hurting my mental health, and my mental health is my supreme goal. So in order to protect my mental health, I need to stop thinking about what she said. Temper is blindness to the other side of the story. So I'm feeling temper, angry and fearful temper, in part, or I guess maybe not in part, but entirely because I don't see where she's coming from. If I was in her shoes, I would understand why she said what she said, and it would seem rational, and it would seem like a justified thing to say. But because I don't understand where she's coming from, I don't understand why she said what she said, I don't understand why she has that opinion of me, I have this temper because I'm blind to the other side of the story. What else do we have? Anything else? Life is full of frustrations. There's something we say in our support group of you expect a picnic and get a panic. I went to this support group meeting expecting things to go well, expecting people to love and accept me, and instead somebody said something backhanded to hurt me. And so I expected a picnic and I got a panic instead. And another thing they say in our support group is that disappointments happen every 3 to 5 minutes of the day, or something like that. So, expect disappointment, expect things to go wrong, expect frustrations, expect trivialities, expect these things. If you expect something to go wrong, you're never going to be disappointed. And so again, I wasn't expecting this comment. So that's partially why it's bothering me so much, is because it was unexpected. But, disappointment happens, and this is very average. Our supreme value is inner peace. So I need to stop thinking about this because it is disturbing my inner peace, and my inner peace is very important. It is my supreme value. Anything else? Symptoms are temporary, not permanent. The way that I'm feeling right now is temporary. I won't always feel this way about what she said. This is not a permanent feeling. Anything else? We can't control the outer environment. We can only control how we react to it. So she is outer environment. I can't control her. I can't control what she thinks of me. I can't control what she says about me or says to me. I can only control how I react to it. And so I got to remember to react differently to this situation by, either trying to find the humor in it, or just letting it go, just dropping it and letting it go. Anything else? Endorse for each effort, not just the outcome. So I'm going to endorse myself for not really losing my cool. I could be responding to this a lot worse than I am. Like I said, in the past, I probably would have been extremely angry about this. I probably would have immediately made a video talking about, fuck this woman, and, fuck her, and, I probably would have gotten so angry and so worked up in the past. And so I have to endorse myself for responding in a better way than I would have before, and I have to endorse myself for the effort and pat myself on the back for doing a better job of handling this than I would have in the past. Assert yourself without temper is another tool, but I don't think that there's anything to gain from bringing this up. If I were to at the next meeting say, hey, the thing you said last time really hurt my feelings, I feel like that is just going to make things awkward. It's just going to make things uncomfortable. It's just going to make her feel like she's being attacked because I'm calling her out for something that she did that upset me. And so I don't think that this is, I think the best thing to do in this situation is to drop it and try not to think about it, and just, ignore this. Yeah, I guess every act of self control leads to a greater sense of self respect. Again, a lot of self control by not bringing this up to her, and deciding not to, another thing is decide, plan, and act. So I'm deciding to not bring this up. I'm deciding to not make a thing of this. I'm deciding to not call her out for this. And I'm planning to stick to that. And I'm going to move my muscles and make sure that I control my speech muscles and I don't say anything to her next meeting about this. Endorse rather than indict yourself and others. Have the will to persevere. This is just a small thing, and I will survive. I will be okay, regardless of what this woman thinks of me. And like, why should I? This is not a tool, but like, just in general, why should I care whether or not this woman likes me? Why does her opinion of me matter that much? Why does it hurt so bad for this person who's virtually a stranger to not think very highly of me? Why is this upsetting me so much? Because at the end of the day, her opinion of me does not affect me. It does not matter. And so, I'm making a much bigger deal out of this than it actually is. And so, anyways, that's all. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Stay frosty. Bye.